No mind, the gateway to Atmamun. If there is a state of living enlightenment, if there is a state of otherworldly bliss, if there is an undeniable and fail-proof path to overwhelming peace, it lies in the glorious state of no mind. It is often more productive to first look at the obstacles to a goal than to directly look for a path to that goal. For if you find the obstacles, you'll find the path. What is the obstacle to peace? What is the obstacle to freedom? What is the obstacle to equanimity? What is the obstacle to serenity? What is the obstacle to relaxation? What is the obstacle to joy? And what is the obstacle to bliss? It is the mind. Mind stands as the single barrier between ourselves and the life that nature intended for us to live. Yes, the very same mind that commercials ask you not to waste. The very same mind which is the source of your pride. The very same mind that society tells you to develop and bolster and enliven. Please understand this. In every society, in every nation, people are given the wrong information. The messages that humanity receives are either completely false or they are so cryptic that it leaves far too much room for interpretation. Either way, they serve no purpose other than to cause man to lose his way. There is no greater misunderstanding in this world, and thus no greater source of turmoil than that which concerns the true nature of mind. Can the mind be a powerful force for good in a man's life? Certainly, but man never gets to this point. He rarely sees this phase of the mind. He rarely benefits from its power. Rather, he lives forever under its thumb and lives a life of slavery. There is simply no greater enslavement in the history of man than man's enslavement to his own mind. It matters not how much land a nation accumulates. It matters not how many wars it wins. It matters not how many tyrants it overthrows. The people of that nation will forever be enslaved by their own mind. And it is the sort of enslavement that no dictator can hope to match. We are so enslaved by the mind that we don't even recognize that we are enslaved. The mind plays a magic trick upon us, and the trick is so fantastic, so brilliant, so ingenious that it enslaves a man whilst giving him the impression that he is free. Our addictions and our vices are an example of our enslavement to the mind. It is the mind that is addicted to things. And rather than challenge the addiction and refuse to do the mind's bidding, we ascribe the addiction to ourselves. We internalize it as a part of our personality. You've never been addicted to anything in your life. You've never had a single preference. You've never had any ideal. You've never had a single prejudice. You've never in your life had a single opinion about anything. But how can this be? When you were a child, you were born a tabula rasa, and society could not help but to doodle its ideas upon you. The ultimate teaching for any child would be to understand that fundamentally he is life itself. To teach him that his thoughts do not belong to him. The things that he becomes attracted to are not his attractions. The things that he craves are not his cravings, and that this is the only way to freedom. As one begins to explore and look squarely at the mind, he begins to understand that he is not the mind. But this idea often leads to confusion and fright rather than an immediate feeling of liberation. The immediate reaction is the thought that if I'm not the mind, and I'm not my thoughts, not my likes or dislikes, and not my personality, who am I? I will relate to you that it is far more important at this stage to understand who you are not. It will lead you to freedom much quicker if you learn who and what you are not. For if you keep subtracting, there soon comes a time when you can subtract no more. And when you reach this point, you'll discover who you are. When your thoughts feel like imposters, when your ideas seem like noise, and your preferences fail to move you, and your pride is easily dropped, you will experience the state of no mind. When you lose yourself in the activity you are involved in, and that which seemed to be an insignificant chore now seems like the only thing in the world, you'll experience the state of no mind. Some will say that such descriptions can also be indicative of mindfulness, and they'll be correct. I do not disagree with the end product of mindfulness. I disagree with the idea that mindfulness is a practical vehicle through which to reach this end product. When we begin to viscerally understand that we are not the mind, we begin to look at the mind face to face. And for those moments that we look at the mind face to face, we have transcended the mind. For in order for you to look at something, you can only look at it if you understand that you are not it. Where there was one, there is now two. And this is the beginning of Atmamun. The world has been trying to get you to control the mind, and calm the mind, and tame the mind. This is why it has spent billions on a campaign touting yoga and breathing and meditation and mindfulness. But it has not worked for the vast majority of people. No matter how much of these prescriptions they follow, they remain enslaved to the mind, and this leads to even more frustration. Why has it not worked? Because you have not been told the truth. You've only been shown a rosy path filled with flowery aphorisms. You've been taught to follow form and ideas and self-help jargon. Would you like to know the truth? Very well, here is the truth. The mind cannot be calmed or tamed. It can only be transcended. And it is transcended not through activities. It is transcended through understanding. If you embark upon a sincere journey within yourself in order to understand all the things that you are not, you'll have begun the path to transcending your mind. You'll have begun to cut the ties that bind you to it, and you'll have begun the path to the sort of freedom that you have never before known. It is only when you reach the point of no mind that you are then able to use the mind for your own purpose. Understand very clearly that for as long as you are the mind, it will use you. And when you reach the state of no mind, you will be able to use it. And it will serve you the way it was meant to serve you. And in this state, the mind is the most powerful force in the world. The path to Atmaman. Once you get a taste of no mind, your personality will begin to deconstruct. The baggage that you have been carrying for decades will drop away, and you'll see the world anew. You'll soon be immersed in the mind of the spirit. You live in clarity. There will no longer be a veil or a filter between yourself and that which you see. You'll think when thoughts are needed, and you'll use the mind when you need to use it for your own purposes. You'll experience life. You'll be free. You'll be invested in Atmaman.